Hi, so this is going to be a quick video on how to take out the carburetor on a KTM300. You'll be surprised at how easy it is. Stay tuned. So with lockdown happening last year and a lot of other things in life, there was not much riding that I did. My bikes were just sitting months without even being started. And the KTM, that's been sitting idle for over a year. So the electric start on the KTM has not been working since I bought it. And it wasn't a big deal because, well, it's got a kickstart and it starts so really easy. So I've just been kickstarting it this entire time. So having sat there for so long, I figured I'll just start the bike for a bit just to let it run. But it just didn't start. I kicked over a few times, it wasn't firing up, and then after about 10-15 tries, bike ran for a few seconds but then died again. And at one point I gave up and I realized I need to find the root cause. I got on a KTM300 rider group. A lot of the opinions was that the carburetor itself is clogged up with two-stroke oil and it's just sat there and tarred up and blocked the jets. So what you need to do is pretty much clean the jets, and that means taking the carburetor out. Taking the carburetor out on a DRZ is quite a task because you need to take off a fair bit of the bike, loosen the subframe and take it out. But on the KTM, turns out it's not that difficult. So I'm going to start on this. So I'm going to break this series down into a few videos. In the first one, I'm just going to take the carburetor out, and in the next, I'll proceed on cleaning it out. Another thing I might do is to replace the spark plug while I'm at it. There's no harm in doing it. Spark plugs are cheap. It's better to take a safety precaution than get stranded in the bush. So let's get started. So how does the carb come out? First you take the cover off for the airbox. Then you take the air filter off. So when the air filter is off, the next thing that keeps the carb tightly packed is the boot of the airbox. So rather than remove the entire airbox and the boot, what you can do is slide the boot further back into the airbox. So essentially giving yourself a little bit of space to pull out the carb from the engine. So the next step is to loosen the two clips holding the carburetor. So one at the engine end and one at the airbox end. Once the two clips are loosened, you'll notice that the carb wiggles around a bit. At this point, you can disconnect the fuel hose from the carb. And next, you just wiggle the carb around, lift it up a bit, slide the bottom of the carb out and pull it out. So now you'll notice that the throttle cable is still connected to the carb. So this is a bit different from the DRZ carburetor where the cable can just be slid out of the bracket. So to disconnect that, looks like I'm going to have to take off the top of the carb. So there's a cap essentially held by two hex screws. I'll undo the two hex screws, and when the hex screws are undone, looks like the carb is just going to slide out. So there we go, we're done, and the carburetor is now out of the bike. So there we go. That was a lot simpler than I expected. The carb literally came out when I took off the two clamps, and there's plenty of space to just pull the carb right out. And as you saw, disconnecting it was just as easy. So in the next part of the story, I'm going to clean this carburetor because it's got about an year's worth of fuel that's just been sitting there, and being tooty oil, it's probably clogged it up. So I'm going to give it a good cleanup, put in some new petrol and try starting the bike. So to see how that part of this entire process goes, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get a notification when it's out. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.